She was Fox News' biggest primetime star, and she Me Too'd Roger Ailes before Me Too was a thing. Megyn Kelly is over here. Megyn Kelly. Hey, you. Hey. I told you they'd be nice. Say, I'm glad you got a warm round of applause.
Thank you.
I love that movie. Before I get to that, I just want to ask you, this presidential campaign, you covered a few of them.
Yep.
I know when I'm off and lots of stuff is happening, it kind of eats at me. Are you miss being on the air?
No, because it's very easy to keep up with the news because it's ubiquitous, right? It's Trump, Trump, Trump,
But
Trump,
to
Trump,
give
Trump, Trump.
your side of it.
It's everywhere.
You don't miss that?
I guess I miss...
You had a big voice.
I miss sort of being a voice of reason in the storm.
Right.
You know, because there's so much hysteria in the media for and against. And when I left the Kelly file, I remember feeling like I might have a societal obligation to stay because I did owe it to my audience to separate the wheat from the chaff, and I thought I did a good job of it. But I have 3 little people who I owe more to in my apartment. And
Midgets?
No.
Oh, chill. I'm sorry. I don't have children.
I know.
I never think children
You know
first.
You don't know what
Right.
you're missing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Actually, I do.
So
and I'm thrilled about it. But okay, but that's you and that's me.
So I've been doing something more important.
I
Although,
know.
you know, looking after
I
the election
understand.
is much like
Okay.
looking after a bunch of children, but I'm doing the real thing
But
right now.
I watched Bombshell, very entertaining.
Okay.
And, you know, you came out very well in it. I mean, I said, you know, you Me Too'd a guy, but this is a long time before Me Too, and this is literally what it was. Gretchen Carlson is out there saying Roger Ailes did that, and then they're looking for somebody else to go Me Too. Because
Yeah.
if somebody else doesn't, she's hung out to dry.
Yep.
So you got to feel kind of good about how they portrayed you in the liberal media.
I mean, look, I didn't know what to expect because I have nothing to do with the movie. And, you know, I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know when they were shooting or anything. There was an incident early on where my mom, who lives in upstate New York, where I'm from, called me up and she said, "Why didn't you tell me they were making a movie about you?" I'm like, "Ma, I don't know anything about it." She goes, "I want Stormy Daniels to play me." So I have no clout. She didn't get a role. She was disappointed. And then she tells me, she goes, "When I stood up in the theater and told everyone I was your mother, they said very nice things about you." I'm like, "Oh, for the love of God." So anyway, look, my takeaway on it is the movie was a force for good because it helped shine a light on how it's done, how women who may not be that well connected, you know, Gretchen and I, we don't really know each other. And we haven't spoken since before we both left Fox.
But you had that in common. You both had to twirl for Roger Ailes.
I mean, that's, you know, I posted this response on my YouTube channel to the movie. And I did that because I wanted just to have my response contained in one place. I don't want to keep talking about this movie over and over. And I did it with women who went through what I went through. But the twirl was demeaning.
Oh, I remember.
And
especially if you have a law degree.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I had argued before courts of appeal across the country. I was covering the U.S. Supreme Court.
And never twirled for them.
I mean, and you earn your way up. And, like, the thing about the twirl is, and a lot of other bad, worse things happened to me than the twirl, but the thing about the twirl is, it isn't about seeing your ass. It's about demeaning you. It's about subjugation. It's about, can I control you?
Right. Yeah. So I've heard you say media is broken. What do you mean by that? Where do you go with that?
I mean, you know it's true, right? Like, it just, the media is so messed up right now.
Yes.
It's disheartening to me. And I've felt this way for a long time, not just since Trump. And I know, you know, Trump's rhetoric is too strong, the enemy of the people and all that. And I know why he says it. There are still amazing journalists out there doing great work. But the media is completely biased. And what's happened now, as I look at the country...
Biased politically?
Oh, 100%. Yes. They're biased.
You worked for Fox News.
Oh,
I think there's another side to the story out there.
Of course, Bill, of course. But Fox News was born and did so well because it was the only voice offering the other side of the coin. And the rest of the media was biased toward the left.
You know what the media is biased towards? Money. They're biased toward money and conflict because that's what sells. I don't think... Like, I was watching the Virginia rally this week. Was a gun rally. It was peaceful. And you could see how disappointed the media was that the Civil War didn't break out.
Right, of course.
That's what I think the media bias is, much more than politics.
No, because look, I think there was a liberal slant in the media even before Trump got in there, but he went in there and now, like, take CNN. He came in there and said, CNN is completely biased to the left. They're lefties. They're completely against me. And my take on it was, in the beginning, he was wrong. CNN wasn't that way. I used to watch CNN all the time when I was at Fox. When I was getting ready for the Kelly File, I'd have on CNN, and I'd watch a lot of their shows. And I like a lot of the anchors over there. But my view is, CNN became the thing Trump said they were, and they weren't, and now they are. But now they're indistinguishable from MSNBC.
But you have to admit, it's very hard to cover a guy like Trump who does awful things.
Yeah.
Oh, you do agree?
No, I agree. Yes, of course.
Okay. Well, then you're going to look left wing.
No,
because you're saying, you know what?
Totally wrong. I totally disagree with you. Look, when I was on doing the Kelly File, prime time, 9 p.m. on Fox News, he was attacking me for 9 months straight, right? Saying outrageous things. It took everything in me to go out on the set night after night and not make it personal and not have a vendetta against him and not be overly harsh on him because of what he was doing to me and my family. But I did it. It's doable. You just have to remember, it's not about you.
Right.
It's about the audience and the truth.
So here, okay, and you know what? What's great is, I keep saying all year long, you can hate Trump, you can't hate the people who like him.
Yeah, I've heard you say that.
We can disagree and still be friends. We have a lot in common. We were both shit-canned by major broadcast networks. I was shit-canned by ABC. You were shit-canned by NBC. Yeah. It's not the worst thing in the world that happens to you. And I tell you, when that happened to you, I was angry for you. Honestly. Because this cancel culture, it's so funny. When they do polls, they find like 80 to 90% of the people in this country hate this shit.
Yep.
Even liberals hate this shit.
That's right.
This is one reason why Trump got elected. Because people 100%. Hate political correctness so much that they'll even take it in the mouth of a werewolf like that when he's not politically correct.
Because he's a fighter, and they see this is the package that comes in.
Right. But when individual instances come up, everybody is so afraid to stand up. Yeah. I mean, you even apologized for something that I didn't think was that awful. It's like, why can't you just say, okay, I was a little inartful about how I expressed that. My bad. I'm sorry, move on with our lives. Instead of, no, you have to go away for all time.
Well,
who are these perfect people who have never made any mistake?
I mean, my own take on it is the country's going through something right now. The marginalized groups are rising up and trying to find positions at the table, equal positions. And that's a good thing. The difference is in approach. How do we do it? And I understand this fight because as a woman and somebody who's, been in the position I was in that we talked about, I have also felt marginalized at times and like I don't have an equal footing. But the question is, do we do it with grace and humanity and understanding that people make mistakes and that we're all imperfect and we're going to screw up maybe more than once?
And charity.
Right, and kindness and an understanding that we're all only here for a limited time and we can't expect a perfect score of any person.
What's galling is that the people who hate bullying are always bullying.
Yeah.
Like, if you even talk about this, it'll only make it worse. That's bullying. The people who love diversity, except of opinion. Yeah, right. There's only one true opinion.
Well, that's what the right half of the country is worried about. They wonder where the ideological diversity is, right? Because, I think people...
Well, they do it too.
Of course.
And they're fucking snowflakes too.
They do it, but the woke people are they're not even left. They're like far
exactly.
left.
They're not
I don't know
left.
what they are. They're like fringy.
They're gross because all they care about is getting a scalp on the wall.
That's right.
They don't care if you're really a racist, which you're not. They don't care about a million things. That's what they care about, and they always want to find the worst version of what any person is. I just want to believe, yes, the worst possible interpretation about this.
Well, that's like what President Obama was saying, right? That
yes.
that's not activism. When you sit with your thumbs on your phone and pretend you never committed a sin and never will commit a sin, right?
Right.
Like, I'll just sit in judgment of everyone. And that, like, one of the great things about this country is the younger generations have typically helped the older generations understand new ways of looking at things. Like, that's how we've evolved. Take gay marriage, that's one thing. Like, hey, maybe the way you were looking at this wasn't so cool. Maybe there's another way we could live and recognize each other's love. And they never just canceled the generation that came before them because they didn't immediately agree or start talking about the issues in the way they wanted. I mean, if that were the case, we wouldn't have had an Obama second term.
Obama wasn't for gay marriage in
Right.
his first term, right? Yeah.
And so I feel like somehow we have to get back to talking to each other so there's buy-in, so people feel heard, and we allow for disagreement, respectful, kindness.
So I don't have time to get to Trump. I think we would disagree about that a little, and that would be okay. Right. So I hope you come back and we'll talk about that.
Oh, thanks for having me.
All right, thanks.
Pleasure.
Megyn Kelly, congratulations on the movie.